I finally managed to get myself Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PlayStation 5. Yes, a little bit late, but as we all know, it's hard to get a PlayStation 5 right now. And I recently earned the Platinum Trophy in this game, and I want to tell you whether or not I think the game's worth a Platinum. I'm going to give you my review of the game. I'm going to talk about a lot of this game. There's so much for me as a die-hard Spider-Man fan to talk about. There's some really awesome things, some things which aren't as good, but on the whole it's a pretty awesome game, and I want to share with you my thoughts, and then my thoughts on earning the Platinum Trophy. And spoilers, it's actually incredibly easy if you didn't already know. So before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's just get on with the video. First things first, I want to say before I actually get into the video is this is a spoiler-free video, so I'm not going to be telling you anything about the story other than just a general overview of my thoughts of it. I will not be spoiling anything other than the first 2 minutes maybe as just the setting of the story, which you explain, and if you've played the first Spider-Man game you pretty much know anyway. But before we get into that, I want to break this down into a few sections, and the first thing I want to talk about, which is the main thing of all Spider games, and if you watch any of my videos about Spider-Man, you know this is a key thing in my reviews of games, and when I review a Spider-Man game I always think about this, and that is the web swinging. And the web swinging, well, it's pretty darn amazing.
This is something else.
That's right, it takes the web swing from 2018 Marvel Spider-Man. It's the same engine, the same developers, and they just make it so much better. It's a lot more fluid, and it was already perfect, to be honest, and they've just added little things in so you can do maneuvers through the sky. Miles gets these new powers called the Venom powers, which change the way the combat is, and they also change the way traversal is. So you have these traversal powers in like the Venom dash and the Venom jump, which means you can like traverse even better, even faster. It is really cool. The only downside and a criticism of the web swinging, which is something that didn't apply to the first one in 2018, is the fact that the Venom powers, you have to like charge them up using combat, and you can only charge up to 1 to 2 to 3 bars by the end of the game. I didn't enjoy the fact that the traversal with the Venom powers is so fun, and you barely get a chance to use it because you have to go into a combat situation to charge it up, and once you use it once, you've used an entire bar. And I feel like they should have maybe made it so that maybe when you finish the game, you can just use the Venom powers for traversal only whenever you want, because I think it made the traversal, the web swinging, so much faster and so much more fun. But on a whole, the web swinging is pretty darn amazing. Next, I want to talk about the music. So I thought the music for Spider-Man 2018 was pretty amazing, and I actually thought that I didn't think Miles was actually going to be as good to start with because it puts like the R&B spin on it, but I have to say that it's actually better than the 2018 Marvel Spider-Man in terms of like the web swinging music. I think it's absolutely amazing, and it's just so much fun to listen to while you're swinging about, and then as well during the combat sections and all that stuff. The music is spot on again, just like 2018, but maybe marginally better. Okay, the next thing is the graphical performance of this game. Now, I had only played Astro Bot as my only PlayStation 5 game, and the game recommends there's 3 ways you can play this game in terms of graphical performance: 30 FPS with ray tracing, 60 FPS, then 60 FPS with ray tracing, but it basically takes away crowd density and like reflections and stuff because it clearly can't handle it. And the game recommends you play it on 30 FPS with ray tracing, and I played it and it looked exactly the same as Marvel 2018, if I'm being honest. I thought like it looked good, but it didn't look anything different. I then changed it to 60 FPS, and my god, does it look unbelievable. It's worth saying that the footage I'm using, my PC just could not capture 60 FPS, so I have to apologise for that. So you're watching 30 FPS in my game in this video, but when you witness it yourself, it's a game changer. The 60 FPS when you're swinging through the city it's absolutely phenomenal, and it is just something to behold yourself. Okay, next we have the combat. So the combat takes everything from Marvel Spider-Man. However, what it does do, it reduces the amount of gadgets. So Spider-Man in 2018 I think he has about 8 to 9 different gadgets, whereas Miles only has 4. Again, they are pretty overpowered in terms of the cloning and the like the stun weapons that he has. But the main difference is the Venom powers that Miles gets, and he has the ability to he has 4 different Venom moves that become more powerful, which you unlock as the game goes on. And they pretty much change the way the game is to the point where he's just very overpowered. Like these electrical powers that he gets, I'm not a big reader of the comics of Miles Morales. I'm not a big reader anymore. I didn't realise that his Venom powers were this strong, but the way it's told in this game is pretty much like double as strong as Spider-Man, if not more. If he was as skilled in terms of like combat and as experienced, he would wipe the floor with Peter Parker in this universe. He is so strong, and because of that, the game is pretty easy. So I played the game on Amazing, I think, which is the second hardest difficulty, and I found the whole game really easy, other than maybe one boss fight, which again I died maybe twice. And I think I have just coming off the back of Bloodborne, and I can't really compare those games. That seems ridiculous to compare those games, but my point is Bloodborne is one of the best combat systems I've ever played, with like 80 to 90 different enemy designs and enemy patterns to learn. Miles Morales is quite simple, and I think it's a criticism of both Spider-Man games really, but in particular Miles Morales. You only face like 5 different enemies in the whole game. You face like normal Grunt, Grunt with gun, Grunt with a baton which you have to jump under his legs through his legs. You have maybe Grunt with shield, or Grunt with shield and big hammer, and that's pretty much the entire enemy base. Thankfully the game, well not thankfully, but the game is short, and that sort of means that you don't face the enemies too much, but there isn't a great amount of enemy variation, and they are all really pretty easy. And on the easiest difficulty, when you're killing them all in like 2-3 hits, which I did for the New Game Plus, it's just so easy. It is just too easy. But the combat ideas are actually really good, and I'm hoping that if they build on it for the Spider-Man sequel, that hopefully they'll change it to make maybe nerf Miles a little bit because he is too overpowered, or make the enemies a bit harder, whereas this time they kind of weren't. All you had to do was fight a little bit, dodge a little bit, charge it with Venom Blast, kill one enemy and just repeat. So, but on a whole, I enjoyed my time with the combat, but you know, your main character is just a little bit overpowered in terms of the actual combat, but that is a minor critique. Okay, next is the story. Now again, I've said this is spoiler free, but I just want to say they bring in a few things with the story. So firstly, they bring in this app. So rather than you having to do loads of random crimes and stuff on Spider-Man 2018, they brought on this like Spider-Man app which you can like pick and like select missions to do, and it's really awesome. It's a really good way of just like structuring the side content. I really enjoyed it. And the main game, unfortunately, it's really short. It took me about 12 hours to finish the main game and do all the cleanup, but then I finished the actual New Game Plus in under 4 hours. So if you just did the main story, you could do it in 4 hours, which is a shame. But the story it tells is really good, and if you play the game alongside the content, it feels a lot like a more stretched out story and a lot better. When you rush through it in the 4 hours that it took me the second time round, it wasn't as impactful or as enjoyable. But the story itself is really awesome. It's the coming-of-age Spider-Man story that wasn't told in the first game, thankfully. Younger players who can maybe relate more with Miles or relate with younger Peter, they're getting the coming-of-age story for them, which I think is really awesome. And the story is... there's no spoilers, but it's really personal to Miles. And because of that, if you played the game, you know what I'm talking about. There's some amazing side characters in this. Yes, Spider-Man 2018 was a longer game, so the characters got more screen time, but like I didn't like, for example, the Miles and Mary Jane missions where you had to sneak around. That's all gone in Miles Morales. There is a little bit of like walking around as Miles, but it doesn't really, they're very short, and it doesn't really take away too much from the experience. So the story's condensed, it's short, but it's really fun, and it hits hard at the end of the game as well. So I actually really enjoyed the story. I think it's really promising. I want to quickly say as well, this game isn't DLC. I think a lot of people have been saying, oh, it's a 1.5 sequel. It's not, it's DLC. It should have been DLC. I completely disagree with this. If you played the game and you compare the game to the Spider-Man DLC, the City Never Sleeps DLC, this game has so much more content involved, and it has so much more cutscenes and stuff. There's clearly been a lot of work went into this game. It doesn't feel like City Never Sleeps where you had 3 or 4 cutscenes and 3 or 4 levels. This game might only have 15 levels, but they're all quite long. They're all fleshed out with good cinematics, good storytelling. It doesn't feel like a DLC at all. It feels, in my opinion, like a standalone game. Yes, it being somewhat short. Okay, so that was pretty much my opinion of the game. Would I recommend it? Firstly, yes. If you're a Spider-Man fan, you'll love it. If you liked Marvel's 2018, you will love it. It's a great game. It's probably an 8 or a 9 out of 10 for me. I mean, the only downsides really are it's a bit short and the main character is a little bit overpowered, but that's pretty much the only downside that I can really think of. So maybe if it was maybe 3-4 hours longer, it might be a 9. It's probably like in the upper high 8 out of 10s in my opinion, maybe a 9 out of 10. Okay, the Platinum Trophy is what I want to talk about now. Is it hard? Is it easy? Is it long? It is incredibly easy. Coming in at about 15 hours, and it is probably a 2 out of 10. Because you can play the game on the easiest difficulty, there's no difficulty settings. If you play the game on the easiest difficulty, I don't think you'll enjoy the game as much because it's just too quick. So I played the game on the second hardest difficulty, and then I played it on the quickest difficulty again. So that's the key thing. All you've really got to do for this Platinum Trophy is play the main story, do a few combat miscellaneous trophies, do some cleanup, like Spider-Man 2018, there's not backpacks, but there's like other collectibles like that, and then The only negative really about the trophy list is the fact that you have to do a New Game Plus for a bronze. Now the game is really short, but I know a lot of people, myself included, don't really love New Game Plus trophies. I mean, I enjoyed this game so much I didn't mind revisiting it. Like, I'm going to play this game on the PlayStation 4. When it comes down in price, maybe £10–15, I'll definitely pick it up. Because I want to play it again. It is one of those games where you can pick up and play it again. And because of that, I think it's not a big deal. It's an easy platinum trophy. Like I said, 2 out of 10. It's going to take you 15 hours and it requires 2 playthroughs, but the second playthrough, like I said, you can steamroll through it and do it in less than 4 hours. So yeah guys, in my opinion, do I think Spider-Man Miles Morales is worth a platinum? Absolutely do I think it is. It is a great game, probably a 9 out of 10. It's a very fun story, fun combat, amazing web swinging. As well, I just want to quickly say as well, there's lots of awesome suits in this game as well, which is one of the things I loved about Spider-Man 2018. There's so many suits, there's so much to love here as a Spider-Man fan, as a superhero fan, as a guy who, or gal who just loves games. There's something for everybody in this game, and the platinum trophy is so easy. So that's my thoughts on Spider-Man Miles Morales. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you've played this game. I know a lot of you maybe haven't played it because it's on PlayStation 5, but it's definitely worth a pickup in my opinion. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.